You gonna be there
I am
with the horses?
also gonna pull in the Hastings Parade this year.
Really?
Bunch of 4-H kids. Parade's not too
Windows update.
I hate it when it's.
Oh.
No, it looks like the weather.
Can you do it from?
It's actually gonna be nice. So. That was a little surprising. You look at Buffalo getting 5-6 feet of snow.
Probably why.
Nice looking buck.
Perhaps.
Looks like he's a beefy little boy. Good for him. Wow. And you?
Nothing.
Drinking coffee, staying warm. Watching the world.
I don't hunt. I didn't hunt during the storm. That's silly, because if you shoot it during a storm, yeah, take care of it in the storm.
Isn't that funny how we way ahead? We used to just look at the kill.
And Tim was up north. Tim was up north, and Mark was plowing snow.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm staying home and shoveling.
Changed with old age a little bit. Okay.
Technical difficulties?
Is it the chair's fault? We're gonna try to blame you for everything we can.
We could get started. I mean, public comments is number 7.
This seems like Murphy's Law is in effect.
You have today
Where we let him go if we're gonna tie
I
it
feel
over?
like anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
What today?
Are we good, David?
Well, just, I'm not sure why, I might be able to see what you but if you wanna just go ahead and get started.
Got knocked out early last night. He got knocked out early last
The
night.
live stream is struggling too?
No, live stream is good. No, we're online right now.
Oh, we play poker.
Oh.
That's once in a while down at the Moose. Coop doesn't play, but he's down there.
This meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Will Commissioner, staff, and guests please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for this beautiful morning that we've had. A little cold, but we are so thankful that the storm has stopped, and we ask that you help those people that are still in need from that. We thank you for our military, and we ask that you be with them and all our volunteers around the world as they help with earthquakes and fires and all the disasters that have hit throughout the world these last few months. Lord, we ask that you give us wisdom today to deal with the measures before us, and that you will help us to make good decisions for the citizens and the residents of Berry County. Thank you again so much for being with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Here.
Connor.
Here.
Geiger.
Here.
Getty.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smoker.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the board or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written. Reports from state and county officers. Does any state or county officer or their representative have a report to share with the board? Limited public comment. This time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Our timer today will be behind you on the screens.
I'm not going to take a lot of time. I know all three of us have dockets that we have to attend to. Just wanted to reiterate our support for getting something done, hopefully today, with regards to employee wages. That's all I have to say. I don't think you've ever seen all three of us here at the same time. That's how important we think it is.
Okay. First of all, I don't come to many of these meetings. Thank you very much for saying a prayer and saying the pledge. That's important. I brought some of my staff here because I think sometimes we talk about these things without reality, without seeing that there's a face here. So my staff would stand up, please. These are just a few of them because we've kept the office open like we always have. We have to make tough decisions in life, and I know with the money that you have, there have been tons of requests for that money. I know that. My priorities in life have always been people first, above things. I remember a few years ago when we sold our house, we didn't have a new house to move into, so we lived in a little trailer. And it was about, I don't know, 400 or 500 square feet with a bathroom that we had 2 minutes of hot water and we could barely move in. But you know what? It was a great 6 months because we were together as a family. I don't need things. I can live without things. My priority is people. Can't live without people. And these people, and some of them are new, but these people never stopped. When other people in the county took time off with COVID, and I'm not blaming them for doing it, we really couldn't. Because the people in jail, we weren't allowed by the Supreme Court to just keep them in jail indefinitely, because in our system they're innocent until proven guilty. So we had to do something. We couldn't let them all out, because some of them were guilty, and we needed to keep people safe in domestic violence and other situations like that. So we never stopped. We continued working. And we've saved the county. In fact, I had Inez do me a printout. Over the last 4 years, we've saved the county over $1.3 million in employees' salaries that we haven't had because we've been short, and in other expenditures. Over $1.3 million. Over $500,000 just last year, and there will be more this year. That was in 2021. So we've saved you a ton of money. We're just asking, and many counties have already done this in multiple times. I'm imploring you, please vote on the bonus, get them at least started. Let's make it a great Christmas for them. Let's tell them, real people, that we appreciate them, that they come first over other things. Please.
We've said time and time again how much our employees mean to us. But the time for words is past. They need to see a realistic showing of how much our employees mean to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there further public comment?
Good morning.
Morning.
Sharon Zabrowski, Vice Chair of the Commission on Aging Board. I've given each of you a flyer that's really 3-in-1, showing you the upcoming events at the Commission on Aging. I've also placed some full-size flyers over here on the table for anyone who would like one or has some place where they could display one. We're trying some new things, starting with the winter open house, which allows people to see what the COA is all about and have a chance to visit with some friends, both old and new. Then we have 2 make and take holiday projects, which could be a gift or could be keep it yourself. On December 16th is a holiday party. We charge a whole $2 for anyone over the age of 60, and $4 for those who are under 60. There will be lots of fun, and even Santa is going to stop by. Good luck trying to keep up with the seniors this December, and there's more coming next year. I hope you get a good pair of running shoes for Christmas, because you're going to need them to keep up with our seniors. Thank you.
Is there further public comment?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Vi Thompson, and I live on Pine Lake. And I'm here representing a group that's in opposition to the drain project that is going on. We believe that the project was initiated in haste at the height of a period of flooding back in 2019. And just by a show of hands, at an informational meeting, the decision was made to go ahead without conducting a vote of any kind or anything. There was even, I think, maybe one other meeting besides that one. But anyway, we believe the levels of the lake and streams are cyclical. They ebb and flow and have since the beginning of time. So today I just briefly want to say, I would like it on the record that there is an opposition group that is growing. We have 300 signatures so far that are against the drain. And we are looking forward to working with the new commission in January and moving forward. And looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Is there further public comment?
Jason Sixberry, I just wanted to reiterate some of what the judges say. You know, our people that work for the county, we need them. We're trying to retain people at the sheriff's office as well as all their places. We have part-timers. We really do want them to stay, trying to keep them here versus the real world out there with the public sector of paying them more money than we are. If we could at least think about something to help keep them here, then retain them, that'd be great. I know we have something else on the agenda later on, trying to get, luckily the MCOs is putting out a grant, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment? Hearing none, we'll move ahead. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have any correspondence they'd like to share with the board? Consent items, Commissioner Jackson.
I move for the approval of the November 8th, 2022 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes.
Second, Gibson.
Motion by Jackson, supported by Gibson, to approve the item listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote nay. The clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations, we have none. Public hearings, we have none. Items for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of claims in the amount of $102,897.27.
Second.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Getty, for the approval of claims in the amount of $102,897.27. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk call the roll.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
I move for the approval of the agreement for economic development services between Berry County and Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Alliance for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023.
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Jackson, for the approval of the agreement for economic development services between Berry County and the Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Alliance for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Is there discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
No.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
I move for the approval of the attached agreement for drug testing services with First Step Testing Services, LLC, and to authorize the chairperson to sign the agreement. Second, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for the approval of the attached agreement for drug testing services with First Step Testing Services, LLC, and to authorize the chairperson to sign the agreement. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Move for the approval to award the 2022-2023 snow removal contract for county facilities to J.K. Rose Construction LLC.
Is there support?
Support Campbell.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Campbell for approval to award the 2022-2023 snow removal contract for county facilities to J.K. Rose Construction LLC. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the clerk.
Yes, did we get the second bid, or did we just get the first one? The one that we're approving? Oh,
No, we had 2 bids.
okay, I see it's on the, next to the last page, thank you.
It's in the packet. Thank you.
That's it. I just wanted to see.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to award the 2022-2023 snow removal contract for county facilities to J.K. Rose Construction LLC. Clerk, call the roll.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Move for the approval to apply for a police academy grant through MCOL for 2 law enforcement deputies.
Support Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Jackson, for approval to apply for a police academy grant through MCOLS for 2 law enforcement deputies. Discussion? Under Sheriff, what do we have here today?
MCOs themselves came out with the ability to, I think it was $30 million, if I remember correctly, over until through 2026, for up to 25 law enforcement people put in through the academy per agency, or until the money's gone. And so basically they'll pay up to $24,000, including that's part of for the academy itself, as well as part of their salaries, as well as paying for their uniforms and that type of equipment that they need at the academy. Basically, to me, it's a no-brainer, because we can't get people as it is to apply, or if they do, they're applying other places that get paid more money, and better benefits and better health care, and we're trying to compete, and we have 2 people that work part-time for us. Well, one's full-time corrections deputy, one's a Marine deputy, as well as a part-time cadet in the back right now that wishes to become law enforcement, and we're down 2 people right now, and we can't get applications, so what better way to do it is get them to, it's paid for. We don't have to pay for the academy. They don't have to pay for the academy. It helps them. And they're employed by us at the time, because that's how it has to be. MCOLS is possibly looking at not just certain amount for only up to $4,000 for the salary, but maybe just doing a whole thing of $24,000 for whatever it takes to put them through the academy. If it's $11,000 for the academy, and it's $13,000 to help pay for the salaries, they're looking at that, but I'm not sure if they're going to do that yet. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but that was one of the hearsay.
So is this grant allocated to each county, or is it a statewide?
Statewide, city, county, whoever applies for it. What we do is we do the first part of it. We have to do the background. They have to go through the PT test, the written writing test. Have to have the psychological. We do the deep background check for them, and then we do all the front page, and then we hand it over to the academy. They complete the rest of it and send it to MCOLS, and basically there shouldn't be any problems with getting it approved.
Okay. Questions or comments from commissioners? Vice Chair Connor?
If let's say you get an application before the end of the month, could you make another application to put another person through, once you did all your?
The problem with everything is each academy only has a certain amount of people.
Okay.
So LCC, which I talked to Andy, great guy, and then KCC, a lot of them were very helpful, but KCC's not putting one on this coming winter, because they are for corrections, but not law enforcement, because they can't get the staff to run it, the instructors to run it. So I saved 3. He put me down for 3. 1 backed out on us, so we are down to 2. So they're full right now for the next one, but we could do it for another
Right,
one.
okay, so we could do it
As-
for another one.
As long as the money's there, but it wouldn't be for this January.
Okay.
It would have to be the next one or a different academy.
Yeah, I did read in there, it said that it's available as long as the money, but,
Correct.
so if we do get furthers for the next academy, we could ask for more.
Yes,
Do you have a limit from the, does each county have a limit of
25
25.
max
25?
applicants.
Applicants,
Or
okay.
people going through the academy. But that's every single agency in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
Counting the county, so.
Commissioner Smelker.
You mentioned corrections also. Is there a separate one for corrections, separate grant?
Academy, no, there is not one for grant. I'm just saying one of our corrections deputy wishes to become a law enforcement
okay.
deputy, and we have him in the
We're
works
short
at
of
this time.
corrections too, aren't we?
We are, but we do actually have some applicants for that, and they are checking that, trying
Very
to
good.
find some.
Thank you.
Well, if we know anything about the state of Michigan, this money may not be here in the future, so we should take advantage of it while we can. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to apply for a police academy grant through MCOLS for 2 law enforcement deputies. The clerk will call the roll.
Smoker,
Yes.
Campbell,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Getty,
Aye.
Gibson,
Aye.
Jackson,
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached quasi-judicial officer job description, replacing the quasi-judicial officer 1 and 2 job descriptions and classification of the position at grade 15 on the general fund department head and non-represented employees pay scale.
Support, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for approval of the attached quasi-judicial officer job description, replacing quasi-judicial officer 1 and 2 job descriptions and classification of the position at grade 15 on the general fund department head and non-represented employees pay scale. Discussion. Michael, could you fill the board in on what this does? Or I think we have Inez Straub here too.
Sure, I'm actually going to defer to Inez
Okay.
on this one.
Good morning.
Essentially, what we're doing is making the positions equal and expanding the job responsibilities of the quasi-judicial officer 1 position. The attached job description includes the additional items that each of these positions will be required to perform. I think for ease, I put those in red. So the job essentially has expanded. A lot of what the judicial quasi-judicial officer 1 performed, the duties performed previously, were specific to district court. Now we are starting to need the current magistrate's assistance with a lot of circuit court responsibilities and duties. Also, additionally to the circuit court responsibilities, we need him to, or the position to assist with sitting on committees, establishing procedures that are, that affect not only the court, but the jail. I think one of the committees he sat on was the jail diversion work group. CIT, which is the crisis intervention, helped with that. Landlord-tenant diversion program, which was implemented by the Michigan Supreme Court during COVID. Doesn't look like that's going to go away anytime soon. So that position really has had additional duties attached to it. A lot of the cases that are coming back from the Court of Appeals that have been remanded, he's assisting us with the research so that we could provide the Court of Appeals additional information with case law and court rule cited. So that's why we're requesting this position to move from that quasi 1 to the 2, or actually eliminating both and having one job description.
So, in the general summary, the last sentence, reviews and approves arrest and search warrants and sets bond, may serve as probate register. Statutorily and constitutionally, this position can do that?
Yes.
Okay. Because this officer was not elected by the people.
No, it's not, but the probate register position is one that's appointed by the judge, so is the magistrate position.
Okay. This practice has been done in other places?
Having them,
Sign search warrants?
oh,
and-
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's within the statute.
Great. Discussion.
Who's the circuit court magistrate?
There isn't one. In Berry County, we eliminated the circuit court arraignments, so they all start in district court.
Oh, because you mentioned that the circuit and district court, and now this magistrate is gonna have to take over some circuit court duties.
Yes, that would be the post-appellate reviews of the pleadings that are filed after conviction that we get quite a few of.
Okay, so the other thing is this person's already doing these duties. I mean, it's kind of after the fact.
They have been performing some to a certain extent, yes. Not all of it, just some.
What haven't they been doing?
Well, they aren't required to review the post-appellate request.
That one item?
No, they're not required to also sit on the work groups that assist the jail in reducing or addressing the population that's currently incarcerated. It's not required to sit on the landlord-tenant work group to facilitate elimination of or diversion of evictions.
Who sat on those groups in the past?
They didn't exist.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, they
Because
didn't
that's what I
exist.
wondered,
Yeah.
where was the breakdown and who,
That's why
how
we're
these
coming-
duties were.
Yeah, they didn't exist, which is why we're requesting that, because they continue to be created, and there's a certain expectation that that position or person assist us in performing and creating these committees, along with providing us with the legal analysis that's tied to.
Okay, that wasn't clear, so that was
Okay.
where I was like, well, who was performing these
Yeah.
duties in the past? So that's why I kind of, when I read it, I thought, well, what happened? So, all right, thank you.
You're
That's all I
welcome.
have.
One last question. I think it was in 2013 or 2014, we did the comprehensive reclassification. And I don't remember what the job title was before, but it was very long, clunky, and bureaucratic. So we came up with this term. I don't recall why we had a 1 and 2. What was the reason that we had 2 levels of this position too?
Well, geez, that was quite a while ago.
But we're classifying them the same now.
Right. I think back then, for the magistrate position, we had a couple non-attorney magistrates, so we didn't necessarily need someone that has a JD attached to their education. And when we reclassified the position, they were solely focusing on district court matters. So I think they assisted as a backup too, in the event someone was absent. With this position, it's kind of the expectation that both of these individuals could perform any of the duties in the job description today.
So it's not relevant today to have a
Right.
1 and 2, okay. Any other discussion? I guess that means it's time to vote. The question before the board is approval of the attached quasi-judicial officer job description, replacing the quasi-judicial officer 1 and 2 job descriptions and classification of the position at grade 15 on the general fund department head and non-represented employees pay scale. Clerk, call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval to designate the National Opioid Settlement Fund that Berry County receives from the Substance Abuse Task Force to use, in accordance with the terms of the National Opioid Settlement for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction.
Support Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for approval to designate the National Opioid Settlement Funds that Berry County receives for the Substance Abuse Task Force to use in accordance with the terms of the National Opioid Settlement for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction. Discussion. So this is similar to the tobacco settlement money that came to the counties in the 90s. Am I right, Michael?
Liz, you're the expert on this one. So, I'm gonna say, yeah, it's similar. Liz, again, knows the nuances far better than I, but effectively, yes, there's been one settlement. I'm not gonna try to get into the weeds and the discussion about the multiple settlements, but this happens to be one settlement that was entered into, I believe it was with Janssen, and it's intended to provide a total of about $773,000 over roughly an 18-year period. So what we're asking is effectively for these funds to be designated to the Substance Abuse Task Force to be used and deployed in accordance with the settlement agreement, and that being for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction. So it does follow with the substance or the tobacco settlement, the same concept. That Liz would expound that they're using that similar framework, if you may, to then deploy these funds.
Great. Morning, Liz.
Good morning. Liz Land, Substance Abuse Task Force Coordinator. Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful to be here today and answer any questions you might have. But I do want to tell you that the Substance Abuse Task Force is acting as the collaborative body that we are, and our partners have been working together on this for the past few months, coming together to kind of do some needs assessments. These are the public's dollars, and you are the stewards of those and the givers of those once these funds are received. And we also want to be good stewards of these funds that have come because of an opioid epidemic. And so in some of the documents that I prepared for you today, you can see that there's some websites and there's some other information. And the Substance Abuse Task Force Opioid Meth Work Group has met several times and conducted some needs assessments and come up with some suggestions on how we can be good stewards and allocators of these funds for the folks of Berry County. The tenets of the dollars, the funding, are supposed to be that we have a transparent process for how we've determined how to spend these dollars, how to allocate them, and to use evidence-based strategies, which is something the task force knows very well. We've been using evidence-based strategies since we began in 2004, and we'll continue to do so. Basically, these dollars are to help prevent further overdose, to help keep people alive, to keep people in treatment and recovery, to prevent other situations of misuse or abuse, youth education, family education, outreach, media campaigns, harm reduction, such as things as Narcan and safety and security measures, and then definitely to help those folks that with lived experience that may be in the criminal justice system. So we're on leg 2, if you will, of the needs assessment, and we have been collecting some surveys with the help of the specialty courts and substance use clinicians in the community for those folks with lived experience to kind of find out where they'd like to see these dollars allocated. So are there any questions? What can I further explain, or questions that I can answer for you?
So what we're doing today is approving your framework for how we're going to spend these dollars. And they're not going to come at once, correct?
They are not going to come at once. They're going to come once a year. They were supposed to be allocated. We were supposed to receive our first installment. At first, Michael and I have been in contact. We thought maybe April of 2022, and then we thought July, and then we were told August, and then we're told sometime in 2022. So there's just a few weeks left, so they've got to decide. So we don't know what's going to happen in terms of that. We're kind of waiting for the receipt of those funds. It could be anywhere, based on the calculations that I've done, $35,000 to $42,000 a year, roughly. That's not a whole lot of money, but it is enough to make a difference and do things. And the Substance Abuse Task Force has a history of taking not a lot of money and doing things and making sure that we get the biggest impact for our dollars and our funds so that we can do good work. many families have lost people to overdose or substance use issues. We definitely want to be respectful of that, and we want to make a difference and hopefully prevent further issues or do our best to minimize that. I realize it's big, are we signing on for an 18-year commitment with me? That might be a lot. I think that you deserve an annual review and an annual request. Quite honestly, you deserve to see how these dollars are being spent, and you deserve to have reports of dollars that come to this community that belong to the citizens of Berry County. And I would pledge to do that and give you a say. Did that answer your question, Ben?
Yes, it did. It does. So over the next 18 years, we're going to get $32,000 to $42,000. Is it your intention that the board would make it an appropriation to a specific program, or would you come with recommendations?
I can do whatever you would like. If you would allocate the funds and you would trust the Substance Abuse Task Force and their leadership and their members, and based on the needs assessments, then we would be happy to serve in that capacity.
Mm-hmm. I would be happy to approve that, but I'm not going to be here in 6 weeks. So, questions or comments from commissioners? John?
I feel that the opioid money going to the Substance Abuse Task Force is the perfect place for it. They handle their money well, and they do an excellent job. And I feel that we should let them take the money and allocate it like they feel is best. And then, as she says, come back and give an annual report.
These are my thoughts on it. In comparison to the entire county budget, this isn't an astronomical amount of money, but it is impactful. I think the board needs to be engaged with Liz's group so we can, future commissioners can be ambassadors into the community that can have the tough discussions about addiction. For instance, small dollar capital requests or supplying local fire departments Narcan. That stuff saves lives, and we know it's going to get used well. So if I had a philosophy that I would encourage the next board to use, what's the most local, most impactful thing that we can do? They'll have 18 years to decide what the best strategy is, I guess. Commissioner Getty?
I really appreciate the work that was done so far with the needs assessment. And I see a trend in there about sober housing, and it's something you and I have talked about before as a local impact for those going through substance issues, and really contributes to their success, long-term success, is having that transitional sober housing option rather than just being thrown back into their same situation. So I would love to see that, sort of the next phase of the needs assessment and that really being addressed in our community. Because it's no good if we send them to Grand Rapids or Lansing where they do have some sober housing options, but they're far away from their family and friends.
And sometimes their involvement in the courts don't allow them to live outside of the county. So these are true needs. We are listening. We're documenting what we're hearing, and we want to, again, be stewards of those dollars. So, I think Michael and I are going to be learning how these dollars can be handled. We're going to watch how other entities handle their dollars as well, and we're going to ask questions as we go. And if there's a way to bank money and reserve it and accumulate, then we will look into those options so that dollars can be spent in the most meaningful way possible.
Further discussion. Commissioner Connor.
Could you tell me what organizations, department groups are on the Substance Abuse Task Force? I mean, there's a bunch of names, but I don't know who they represent.
Well, I can.
We're
Quiz.
pretty broad. We have lots of members from many sectors in the community, where we have representation from law enforcement, from the courts, from the specialty courts, from family and children's service organizations, those organizations that serve youth, schools, healthcare. It's a lot. Emergency management, 911. Elected officials, prosecuting attorney, parents, members of the community, people in recovery, people with lived experience.
How many members are on the task force?
It's usually, official membership is somewhere between 45 and 50 some. And, when we have different meetings, we have some meetings that are, some members that are electronic only. They just can't leave their business or their day to come to our scheduled meetings, but they participate through email, or they participate through some of our activities that we have going on away from the monthly meetings. We also have work groups. We have a media work group, a marijuana work group, we have obviously the opioid meth work group and some other things. They're task focused at the time, Vivian. So they, they come and kind of wane and wax as they go, kind of like the moon, and we get things done and then we move on.
And the decision-making board, or?
Yes, there is a steering committee.
Oh.
Yep, steering committee that oversees the task force. And then the task force is our fiduciary, and my employer is Berry County Community Mental Health Authority, and we also have a board there. So everything is, looked at, double-crossed, dotted, and crossed many, many times.
Oh, thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Pretty much, yes, thank you
I'll say
very much.
that's the nature of Liz's organization and the task force. We constantly have to adapt and we constantly have to change because the pressures on our young people and our vulnerable citizens are always changing. So,
Right, I just wanted to make sure, where all the information and the input and decision-making was coming from. But that's a broad group, which is
It is. It's
exactly
very
kind
broad.
of what this needs.
Yeah, it's really a wonderful
Lot of
example
eyes.
of why it's great to live in Berry County. And, it's working together. So, thank you.
further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval to designate the National Opioid Settlement Funds that Berry County receives for the Substance Abuse Task Force to use in accordance with the terms of the National Opioid Settlement for treatment and recovery, prevention, individuals involved in the criminal justice system, and harm reduction. The clerk will call the roll.
Connor.
Yes, or aye, excuse me.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved. Thank you, Liz.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached memorandum of understanding with Eaton County for the 2023 EGLE scrap tire grant and authorize the chair to sign it.
Support, Jackson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Jackson, for approval of the attached memorandum of understanding with Eaton County for the 2023 Eagle Scrap Tire Grant and authorize the chair to sign it. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the adoption of Resolution 22-15, a resolution renewing the agreement with the Berry County United Way for Veterans Affairs Services.
Support, Gibson.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Gibson, for adoption of Resolution 2215, a resolution renewing the agreement with Berry County United Way for Veterans Affairs Services. Discussion.
Sure, I'll just take a quick minute to do two things. One, answer any questions and point out a couple of changes, but two, everybody knows Lanny Forbes, but you may not know Ryan Condon. Ryan is our Veterans Affairs Officer, so for those that have not had an opportunity to meet Ryan, he's replaced Patrick, and we're glad to have him aboard. So his office continues to be over in United Way. If you have a chance, stop over and say hello to him at some point. With that, this is a renewal of the agreement, but we did extend the agreement, and I want to point that out. Historically, it has been I think a 3-year agreement. We have put this in place for 5 years this time, 2023 through 2027. You have both a clean version and then a redlined version of this agreement in your packet, as I recall. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions, or Lanny or Ryan, if they are specific to the veterans.
This has probably been one of the most successful partnerships that I've seen come across my desk as county commissioner. For those of you that weren't here, we had an unfortunate situation where we had to terminate the county employed officer, and we were looking for new strategies for our Veterans Affairs, and so the United Way stepped up and said, we can do it. And our model that we've made is worked terrifically. So, Lanny, you have any thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for trusting Berry County United Way to serve our veterans. As you said, we are a model. We are a model across the nation. We were one of the first 2 United Ways that were involved with Veterans Affairs across the nation. We have helped many other United Ways and Veterans Affairs organizations from Florida to New York to California set up a similar type program. It really does have a significant impact in a different way. Not only are we helping our veterans access all of the veterans benefits that they can get through the VA, but also utilizing our local resources, which are not always accounted for when the Veterans Affairs organization is just a single entity. We also have been able to save the county. When we made this transition, it was costing the county about $100,000 a year for the Veterans Affairs office, and we have been able to do that for under $40,000, which then provides additional assistance to the veterans in our community. So thank you, County Commissioners, for seeing the value in that, and for being a pilot for the nation. I do want to take just a second. Ryan Condon is our Veterans Affairs Coordinator. Ryan comes to us as a 12-year Marine Corps veteran. He has already been out meeting with many of our post commanders and has been very active getting to know many more of our veterans. So,
Great.
Any questions that you have of us?
Well, thank you for your leadership. Would you like to say, offering a word?
Good morning. Thank you for having us, and I do look forward, if approved, I do look forward to continuing to serve veterans. I've just gotten started. You know, that my predecessor had done a good job, but I am trying to build upon that and trying to get out there to the post, trying to get out to the veterans. As we all know, about 1% are the ones that I'm going to see. Their veterans are very proud, so they don't always ask for help. So I'm just trying to get my name out there, get the information out there. That way, if they do need help, if they do need assistance, then they know who to go to and where to go to in order to get that assistance. So thank you again for having us.
What would your message be to any veteran out there that might be reading about this board meeting and watching it online?
I would say if you need help, don't hesitate. Contact us. We'll try to find help in any way that we can. Whether it's in our office or whether I'm contacting another service organization, we're going to do everything we can to try to help out with whatever situation it is.
Perfect. Questions or comments from commissioners? We'll start down there with the fellow Marine, Commissioner Campbell. You have anything?
Yeah, I think you were in an amazing branch of service. Kudos on that. I have had the opportunity to meet Ryan already. He's been out to Post 422 out at Dalton, which I'm currently a commander for. And I think we're going to have a great relationship. I think he's going to be a go-getter for the veterans, and we need more of that.
Commissioner Jackson, do you have any?
Welcome, Ryan. I was talking to Lanny about the time you were coming on board, and there was a lot of enthusiasm about your arrival, so you come with great fanfare and expectations, so I'm sure you'll live up to them. So thanks for joining the team.
Vice Chair Connor?
Thank you for your service, and thank you for coming on board to help the service and veterans of Berry County meeting the needs that they have. Thank you so very much for stepping up.
Commissioner Gibson?
Welcome to your new job, and I attended one of your meetings, and they're very well organized.
Mr. Smelker?
Thank you for joining the team, and although Bruce and I may disagree on the branch of service, welcome aboard.
Commissioner Getty?
Thank you for joining the team at Berry County, and I can't think of a better place than United Way, where you're really surrounded by so many programs and just the dynamics of that office, getting people the help they need.
And Commissioner Pitch? Thank you. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is adoption of Resolution 2215, a resolution renewing the agreement with Berry County United Way for Veterans Affairs Services. The clerk will call the roll.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached agreement for remonumentation grant administration services with Anderwile LLC and to appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the Berry County Remonumentation Program effective November 22, 2022.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Connor, for approval of the attached agreement for remonumentation grant administration services with Anderwild LLC and to appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the Berry County Remonumentation Program effective November 22, 2022. Discussion?
Thank you. So this is a new agreement. Is this working? There it goes. This is a new agreement. Historically, the position of grant administrator has been filled internally. Suzanne Hubner, who's here, was our latest. I have served as an interim long enough to get it out of the expert hands of Suzanne and into someone else's expert hands without screwing it up, if you may. And we've been fortunate that Andrew Hartwick stepped up. He's a resident of the county. His company is Wild. Thank you. I always want to say the D first, Wild. Andrew previously worked for St. Joe as a GIS professional, and while he was there, served as their grant administrator. He currently owns his own business, Wild, and does mapping services for, right now, one of his clients is the Gun Lake Sewer Authority. Gull Lake, sorry, thank you. Gull Lake Sewer Authority. Andrew also served on the State Remonumentation Commission. It was there that he and Brian Reynolds worked together on a major project. Anyways, when it was reported that Suzanne would no longer be serving as our administrator, Andrew and Brian connected, and Andrew said that he would be interested. So it's my recommendation that we enter into a one-year agreement with Anderwild LLC and appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the remonumentation program.
Morning, Andrew.
Morning.
So are you prepared for the finding all the monuments in Berry County?
That's not my job. That's actually the surveyor's job, but I will oversee all of the paperwork in conjunction with the surveyors to make sure that all the prerequisites and requirements by the state are met. I've been, as Michael has alluded to, I've been part of the remonumentation program since 2006. When I stepped down from the county's position in St. Joseph County, I actually had assumed the state commission position, which I just finished my term in 2021. So it's calling me back is what it sounds like. So thanks for this opportunity. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
So, a lot of the functions of county government are unknown to 99.9% of people. Can you briefly explain what remonumentation is and why it's important?
Sure. Remonumentation is the location of all of the section corner monuments throughout all of the counties in the state of Michigan. And as many of you probably know, if you want a survey of your property, these are vital pieces of information that's necessary to go out and delineate these cadastral pieces of real estate, if you will. So since I believe give me a second, it was back in '94, I believe, was when the remonumentation program was started, which funds then are taken from, I think it's a portion of the Register of Deeds, all the recording fees for properties. A portion of that goes to the state, and then it's divvied back up to the counties based on an annual grant program. And then the county has positions that oversee that, and of course with the county surveyor and a handful of other surveyors create a group which then go out, find the locations, they discuss the locations, actual position, and then put a large physical monument back in that spot. So for all perpetuity going forward, surveyors can use these monuments as legitimate, I guess, because we have questionable areas, if you will, because of these surveys going back into the 1800s. So.
Right. So these monuments historically are stone little structures?
It can be anything from oak stakes, a shaved oak stake. They put stones on top. They put pluses on them. It's a myriad of things that you can find, and it is impressive when they actually pull out an 1860 original wooden stake out of the ground. So.
It's impressive. Questions or comments? Michael, what percentage, do you know off the top of your head, what percentage of Berry County has been redone?
That's a Brian Reynolds question, and nailed on us to go.
Yeah, it's 70s to 80s or something?
In the 80s, 80%.
Is it?
85.
And once that's completed, then there's
a party.
There's a maintenance phase actually that goes beyond that. So, but yes, a party.
Mm-hmm. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval of the attached agreement for remonumentation grant administration services with Andrew Wild LLC and to appoint Andrew Hartwick as the grant administrator for the Berry County Remonumentation Program effective November 22, 2022. The clerk will call the roll.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the attached rate addendum to the administrative service agreement between Berry County and Veripro of Grand Rapids, Michigan, effective January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023 for short-term disability administration, and authorize the county administrator to sign it.
Support.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Getty, for approval of the attached rate addendum to the administrative services agreement between Berry County and Veripro of Grand Rapids, Michigan, effective January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 for short-term disability administration, and authorize the county administrator to sign it. Discussion.
Sure. It is just what the motion states. We're asking for renewal of it. The per month, per employee cost increase goes from $2.25 to $2.40. We anticipated that there would be an increase, but we're asking for the agreement to be renewed.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is approval of the attached rate addendum to administrative services agreement between Berry County and Veripro of Grand Rapids, Michigan, effective January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 for short-term disability administration, and authorize the county administrator to sign it. The clerk call the roll.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye. The item is approved. Yeah, commissioners, would you object to taking a break and then going into item 14, closed session, and then coming back?
Not at all.
Without objection, the chair makes a motion to recess and then go into closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, 15.268, Section 8E, to consult with the county's attorney regarding pending litigation, Calkins versus Kent County, Sattler versus Kent County, and Granger versus Ottawa County et al., class action lawsuit involving 35 counties, including Berry County. Is there support?
Support.
Motion is made by Geiger, supported by Connor. Any discussion?
Are we skipping 13?
We're going to come back to that once we get back out of closed session. So
Okay.
I'm thinking 10:30, we'll come back. 10:35? We'll aim to come back at 10:30. If there's no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll.
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the board will go into closed session and return at 10:30. Circuit Court. We'll wait for Vivian and Michael.
Thank you.
The board will come to order at 10:50 a.m. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from today's closed session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Connor, to approve the minutes of today's closed session. And any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty. Aye. Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Taking up unfinished business, discussion of inflation impact payments for county employees. Now, I understand this is a item of great interest across the county government. We had some time to think about what our priorities are. What are the board's wishes? Commissioner Campbell, what do you think?
I would like to see us, as a commission, accomplish something here today that will be concrete to show our good faith to our employees. I know there's a lot of chatter going on out there right now. I think we all realize there's a financial crisis on all our employees right now. And I'd like to see us be able to do something today that's concrete and in place. Hopefully takes place before the holidays, Christmas, etc. And then in the future, we do something that addresses a continuation of gains caused by this deficiency.
Does anyone on the board not believe we should do something today? In other words, are we in agreement that we should act today? I think there's consensus here.
I think we should act today.
Mm-hmm. Is there consensus on that?
Or action.
Mm-hmm.
Comes up to be.
Yeah, so the question is, what is the action?
So I wasn't able to, because Orangeville was prior to getting this information, but I did bring it up at the Prairieville Township meeting, and I attached the document that was first presented to us to my report, so that the township had it. I asked the people in the audience, I gave them my email, to please email me if they wanted to give some thought about it or give me some ideas of which way they thought I should vote. I did the same at Yankee Springs. I heard from one person from Prairieville at the meeting that she was not for it and even questioned the validity of being able to do this with ARPA dollars. No one at Yankee Springs approached me during or after the meeting or at any of the breaks. I didn't get any emails. I did talk to some folks from Orangeville, and the majority, while they felt for the employees, because everyone in the county is facing that cost of living that's exorbitant, and you know, everyone is paying the same for the loaf of bread, is paying the same for a gallon of gas. So, but no one spoke to me in to do it. The ones that I did speak to were all not to. So that's what I can tell you, what I heard from the constituents who did contact me.
Commissioner Petty, what are your thoughts? I know you're in favor of doing something. What do you think we should do?
I'm in favor of doing something. I'm in favor of spreading it out, probably on a quarterly, but I would be open to administration's input on that. I like the bones of scenario 6, but with the 5,000, 1,000 ratio.
Mr. Jackson, what do you think?
I'm kind of in the same camp as Commissioner Getty. I like scenario 6. I like the basic foundation of that. On 4,800, I like that includes employees who are new hires that are under probationary period, that we're not excluding them, that they will get included in that at some point. I also would be open to administrative input, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing half upfront, like a January 1st payment, and the other two $1,000 payments over the next 2 quarters, something like that, something simple, you know. Like I said, that can be based on Michael's guidance on some of that stuff, but I do like scenario 6.
Mr. Gibson, what do you think?
Other counties have did this, so anything we do, we wouldn't be out of line by doing anything.
No. No. Commissioner Smelker, what do you think?
I have a couple questions, and hopefully Michael can answer them. That on our average wage, what would be the percent compared to inflation percent at 5,000 and at 4,000? Payment of 5,000 and payment of 4,000. And I believe our average wage 42, 42.5, something like that.
You'd want the median wage.
Yeah, thank you.
What's $5,000 of the median wage adjusted for inflation? Challenges.
I don't know that I have that number,
It takes a year to calculate it. It's always a year behind.
No, inflation hit last year, you know, so, but I guess, just to make it simple, what is percentage in, say, 42.5, what's 5,000? Percent of gain.
5,000 you said?
Yes.
Is 11.7.
11.7, and then 4,000 would be about 9.
Now, if we're making, I would suggest, if we are going to make decisions based on averages and percentages, I want to see how we do the math. Because that list of median employees, who's included, who's not included? Where did we get 45,000? I agree.
You take the top wage and the bottom wage, and the median. But this is just a general rule. I ain't getting right down sticky. That's why if inflation went up 8 point something, I agree with David, 4,000. Gives you 9% over the year on the median wage.
So your goal would be, I'm just trying to understand, your goal would be to take away the negative effects of the inflation.
Isn't that what we're after?
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you the truth, I feel the same way as the other 2 or 3 do, that pay it out, whatever's easiest on administration. I believe their hands are full with the things we've got going, so I wouldn't be against 4 payments, 2 payments, or I wouldn't be against 1. So, We cannot control how people spend their money and when they spend it.
No. I agree with everyone, or majority of the board, that we do need to act today. I don't know if there's a scenario I lean toward, but simple and efficient, quick would be my priorities. Mr. Connor?
Sorry, I ran out of, my voice is dying. But yesterday, Michael and I did some calculations, and we went from the custodian entry level at 5,000, we were using the 5,000. And that percentage of raise would be 19%. The most populous levels, the 5 and the 9 level of employees, they would be, 5 would be making a 12%, the 9 would be making a 9%. This is at 5,000. A deputy clerk, 8%. A departmental head, and we used Mashaya from equalization because she's new. That would be a 6%. And Michael, his percentage would be 3.9. So, I mean, those, we figured those yesterday. I am not opposed to it because some of the comments were, how does this help all the residents of Berry County? And I said, well, when your county, the offices and departments have to operate well to support the citizens for whatever their need is. So it is a benefit, not like we saw the first round with the water tower and the 911 and all the different things that we approved then. But so I am not opposed. I am for doing something because it does affect our employees. But I would like to see perhaps just make a decision for this year and have the new board look at what's going to happen next year and on until that contract can be opened again. But I think we need to do something this year. So, and it does. I mean, it struggles. One of the articles that Michael sent, like they had 80 openings in county government. I don't know how a county could operate with 80 openings. You know, the jobs just aren't, people, it's hard for me to grasp that. I mean, I grew up in an area where people were always looking for a job opening to go apply for, you know, that they were qualified for to go get a job, so. But I do think that we need to at least do something for this year and then turn it over to the new board for what happens until that contract can be opened again.
I'd agree. I think it is a mindset shift. By taking action today, the board is going to say, you know what, we're going to fight for the best employees. This is a market economy where staff can go find a career that compensates them at a level they want. We want the best here. We want talent. We do not want people to leave here. So I would hope that the next board continues this mindset of what can we do to keep our employees here. Let's take a look at the scenarios we have on the board. I've been teaching school too long. Let's go up to scenario number 1. Scroll up, David. This is the simplest, straightforward, most straightforward item. It's also comes at a pretty big price tag. The one, if the Board of Commissioners today went forward with scenario 1, we would have to kindly request that the Compensation Commission take action to exclude county commissioners and include countywide elected officials. Oh, excuse me. We'd have to ask the Compensation Commission to follow suit with what we wanted. In terms of price tag, between scenario 1 and scenario 2, there's not that much of a difference in cost. I'm kind of partial to scenario 1. Anybody else? I could read through all of these, but is there a specific scenario that somebody wants to advocate for right now?
I liked the 6 also, that David and Catherine liked. And I think, what did you just say was on that, what was that percent? Was it on the 4,000, didn't he say 9 something?
9.4 maybe, something like that.
I mean, and I know that's a median, and I mean, like what Michael and I talked about yesterday, I mean, it's gonna give more to the lower and a bigger percentage to the entry level or versus, you know, your department heads are gonna get a less percent. But I think it offers more to everyone.
Inflation hits the entry-level ones harder than it does.
It does.
Amen.
It does. Who said amen? Oh, I thought it was
It
Pam.
does. It does.
So
I had a
What's
question.
the $800?
Isn't it the
Be
seasonal,
part-time.
seasonal or variable?
As we've worked through this, that's been the challenge. The full-time employees seem to be pretty straightforward. There's 171 full-time employees. That seems to be pretty straightforward. You work full-time, you're here on a regular basis every week, if you may, except for vacations and those types of things. There's 171 of those. I'm going to delve into the full-time. I think a question that we need to have clarified is, what do you want us to do with probationers? There's approximately 16 of them. That moves a little bit as some of them are coming off probation now, but we've got probationers, and then we've got those that have said that they're terminating or retiring. And Ottawa County's example, they appear to have just said, anybody who is employed on this date, the date that they approved it, was eligible. We can do that, or we can address the probation. If you phase it in, it somewhat automatically addresses it. You could say that we're just gonna, everybody that's employed, you could choose to say that we're not phasing it in, we're gonna do a lump sum, but those folks who come off of probation those folks that are on probation won't get it until they come off. And I have to clarify, I'm using probation as 6 months, and I apologize that it gets into the weeds, but these are the issues, because deputies, for example, have a 1-year probation. So my thought is that we just apply a standard 6 months. You've got, effectively 3 people. March is when right now is when the last current employees who are on probation, unless we've had somebody hire within the last few days, we may then have somebody out 6 months. But so we have those probationers are a question with regard to full-time.
Is the probation proration, it feels to me like it's a solution in search of a problem. The reason that we would implement this is because we don't want the county to be ripped off by an employee that came in and didn't work out. But to me, that's a management issue. Don't hire bad people.
Sometimes you don't know that until probation is up, though. I see nothing wrong with them getting the impact check, but I believe their probation ought to be done and then get it.
I agree with Smoker.
That seems to be the standard, is that there isn't, we've thrown out scenarios that included phasing in and other things. That does not necessarily seem to be the norm, because I think others were doing it early, we've had the luxury of then critiquing what they've done. And two, you get bogged down and start to get too many choices and can't come to, if there's 25 variables and 8 commissioners or 7 commissioners, you never have a consensus. So they'll kind of
taking
keep
off-
it simple, stupid.
Are we removing the opportunity to use this as recruitment? You know, you drive past, a lot of businesses, they talk about how much cash you'll get in hand if you come work for us. Is that important to us? Because if we do probation, it's not going to be that quick of an incentive. I'm not married to this idea, I think it's important to discuss. Dave, you've hired a lot of people in your day. What do you think?
Probation, for people coming on probation, if they know that there's a rainbow at the end of their 6 months,
Okay.
I think that that's a positive for them and an incentive for them to stick with it, stick with the county.
Okay.
I think, as Michael said, there's 16 people and the county has a need. I mean, there's a lot of hiring gaps right now, but by the same token, it's the people who have been here and stuck with the county and worked with us through some trying times and COVID times. Those are the people that we need to take care of. I mean, we really need to focus on that. That's why I like the fact that we're rewarding them, that we're doing something. But as we talked about the last time we had this conversation, my concern was sustainability over time. Sat down with Michael, dumped out the county budget, sorted through it, and realized that trying to make this sustainable in a short window that we're trying to get this approved wasn't possible. So hopefully we can continue to look at that next year. But also in that conversation with Michael, we know that not only is there inflationary pressures, there's also potential recessionary pressures going into next year. County revenues are flat, that I think we need to be very fiscally conservative on how we approach this. We need to take care of our employees, but I think there's a lot of concern in 2023. So I don't want to just open that door to the contract, to some other things, because people are getting pay raises, and they are getting step pay raises based on that contract we put in place. So, I mean, the 2% is basic, but some people are getting much more than that as the catch-up in addition to this. So, I think we're doing our due diligence on this. It would be nice to be able to come to some conclusion, but I still think scenario 6 gives us the most flexibility in how to do this, and it protects the county and our long-term vision with this, looking at how 2023 is going to be as well. So that's kind of where I'm focused on at this point. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics in play that we have to be aware of, not only with this board, but going into next year.
The question I had about scenario 6 is, what time frame are we talking about with employees retiring or terminating, that they would be excluded? Is that somebody who stated a retirement in 2023?
No, I don't know that we know that far. I would say those that have, I made a note here, terminating employment on or before 12/31/22. I mean, I don't think you can go out very far. I don't know that we know that.
Right.
If we do, it's out of courtesy. You know, somebody says to their supervisor, hey, I'm intending to retire in 6 months, but that's not official. I mean,
That would be my
until
concern
they're-
is-
Until they're have signed a resignation form or submitted official, so I don't have a great answer. My thought was 12/31/22. They're, that we,
That sounds fair to me.
but again, I think the norm has been if you're employed on this date, and honestly, that'd be a whole lot easier to implement. But I get that there's some other facts, so my thought is 12/31 of '22, end of the year.
That's logical.
You mean to say if you're employed as of 12/31/22, is that what you're saying, or if?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the question becomes, if you submitted your notice to retire or terminate before the end of the year, will that individual get that payment? And a little bit, the thought is, are you recognizing going backwards, or are you recognizing the pressures
Recognizing service.
going forward? You're, you know, again, if you're recognizing the pressures going forward, you're looking for folks that are gonna be here.
I don't think it's this board's intent to deny somebody that has put in a career at the county the opportunity to get this. I mean, anybody opposed to
Well, if,
that retirees or soon-to-be retired employees get this?
so if we want this to become effective so that the employees get it before the end of the year, at least the first quarter, if we go quarterly, and they're not retiring until December 31st, I mean, they would be included in the first quarter because they are currently working? I mean, would that be,
I agree. I think scenario 6 takes care of that. If you're employed in the first quarter, you get the
You get the
$1,000 payment, and if you leave in the second quarter, you don't.
don't, yeah,
So-
that's how I,
Kind of takes care of itself.
yeah, that's how I see it.
All right, well,
Thank you, David.
let's get this done today. Let's make sure we do it right. So I'd like to take a 15-minute recess and have a motion with instructions in it for the administrator so we can get it done today without any questions, so we don't have to do any cleanup work next week. Anybody object to that?
Is there anything you want to ask the board? Well, we can't all be in on that because we'll be at recess.
The motion would be basically to approve up to, you know,
Are you talking
Sep-
scenario 6?
scenario 6, $775,000 in ARPA funds for these reasons,
Mhm.
effective immediately.
Is there anything that you need clarification on?
Yeah, so we're talking,
We're gonna do this, I want checks cut as soon as possible. There's,
so,
I also don't want, I don't wanna receive a $4,000 check in the mail in January and go, whoops, did we screw up? Why did I get this? I wanna make sure that elected officials are, their compensation and through this is determined by the commission.
Are you gonna
It
see
says
if
county
they can
commissioners and elected officials would be excluded in this 6.
But the compensation committee would have to meet this year yet. If,
That's not in here, so on this one, on that scenario.
Make it clear in the motion.
Okay.
so we're talking about, then it being based on a quarterly payment to full-time employees of $4,000, based on, it broken into quarterly. Again, then it works for the employees who are still within their probationary period, excluded until the payment term after they successfully complete probation. So the employees who are retiring or terminating would be excluded from effectively future payments.
Future payments.
Upon their we're excluding seasonal, part-time, seasonal and variable, temporary employees. Back to the term basis. So then we get into the part-time, and we've broken it down. Part-time employees working 20 or more hours versus part-time working 19 or less.
Why is that 600 and not 800?
Because they work less hours? Is the 800 for the
That's a-
part-time employees
that's a-
working?
That's an error, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That was an error, that should have been 800. So as we looked at the part-time folks, we trying to further define that for clarity. We would say that part-time union employees who have a full-time equivalency of 50% or greater would get a prorated payment.
When would they get it?
Quarterly?
Quarterly?
Yeah, everything would be based on quarterly, so we calculate it, and it would be,
If you're given a prorated payment, could you do it just all up front if it's prorated? I mean, as you said, the people that need it.
Mm-hmm.
I say something?
Inflation continue, oh, I didn't have my hand.
I like the idea of the quarterly basis and stuff, but I really think we don't want to divide this totally evenly. I think we need to top load that first payment. You know, it's Christmas holidays. They've already had the whole year of trying to catch up and everything else. It just seems more logical to top load the first payment, whatever number that might be, and then break the rest down into the quarterly division.
David mentioned that one time, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Dave did touch on that.
Would it
That sounds
Would it be
good.
simpler administratively to do it than biannually to, you know, if we're gonna top load it, do a January 1st and a midway through the year? Then to break up quarterly, because then what do we do with those, that second half?
January 1st, July 1st.
That won't help them for Christmas, which seems to be,
July seemed,
Yeah, I'm not too sure January 1st ought to be our goal. I think our goal ought to be before January 1st, if possible.
we'll do our
and
best. It
if
will require
possible.
putting letters of
Possible.
understanding in play. I mean, there's still some work to be done. But we'll, once we have the parameters, we'll hustle those along.
One thing, Bruce, is if they know they got it coming in January, would make it
With the knowledge of knowing that.
We need anything else to put a framework for a motion together?
I think what I'd like to do is, let's take a break. Guys, go get something to eat. Michael and I will whip up a resolution, because this has got to be, it cannot be sloppy. It has to be clean and very prescriptive. But we'll come back at 12:15. We'll vote on the resolution.
We've got.
I can rush and get something done in 10 minutes, but I don't want to screw this up.
We've got a health board meeting at 1.
I know.
We're at.
Well.
Who, what do
here,
you think?
It's here, but
I think we ought to do it today.
We're going to do it today, but it's going to take
Can
a
we-
while to draw up the motion.
10, 15 minutes, go ahead and draft something up.
All right, how about we'll come back and you pick a time.
11:45.
11:50.
11:45.
11:45.
Let's have
11:45.
Like it.
Go get
Without
anything you
objection, the
need.
board will take a recess until 11:45.
And we're gonna get something to eat in 21 minutes.
Well,
We're from the candy jar.
I'm gonna wait.
the candy jar.
We better not be here long.
I said 12:30.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, but you also told us 11:45.
No. Someone else did.
Are you gonna have a copy for me?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have to talk.
This is not our resolution.
It's not what?
It's not ours. We have to consider this. Board will come to order. So I have, with Michael and Luella's help, written up a resolution for the board's consideration. But before that happens, we need to do a little clarification and of who this is extended to, specifically the Berry County Road Commission. So you have received this through your email. It's a resolution requesting ARPA support for employees of the Berry County Road Commission. Whereas the employees of the Berry County Road Commission provide valuable emergency services to the taxpayers of Berry County, and the employees of the Road Commission continued to work and provide county services during the time period of COVID without additional compensation. Goes on to talk about the good work that the Road Commission does. And it requests the Board of Commissioners consider the employees of the Road Commission county employees for the purposes of ARPA. Now, this is the only request that we have received, and it's the only request that we can consider today. So we need to decide Road Commission in or out.
Didn't we give them money at the first ARPA thing?
$250,000. They bought truck.
We did. Does this open it up for any other agencies?
Mm-hmm.
It would. There's not a lot of money in there. We got to watch how we spend it.
Who approves the wages? Their board approves their own wages, don't they? From their own funds. Is this with that?
No, this is ours.
Thank you.
So, if no one is going to make a motion, we will just move on. It will be the consensus of the board that the road commission employees will not be included in this. All right. Please let the minutes reflect that. It's the consensus of the board that this expenditure shall not include the road commission employees. It is, we should point out that we do care about our road commission employees, and we did make a contribution to the road commission.
We did.
They also, they have separate federal ID numbers
Yeah.
as the county, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thornapple Manor and Road Commission has separate. We're not the fiduciary for them.
Correct.
So this is the resolution that we have come up with. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners hereby approves immediate expenditure of ARPA funds from Public Sector Revenue Loss Allowance for disbursement of bonus payments to non-elected county government employees using the following method. $4,000 for full-time employees with $2,000 payable as soon as practicable. The remaining amount will be paid in 2 payments of $1,000 each, one payment payable the first pay period in April 2023, and one payment payable in the first period of July 2023. 2, part-time union employees with a full-time equivalency of 50% or greater will be prorated. Number 3, probationary employees will begin receiving payments at the end of their probationary period. Number 4, $800 for part-time non-represented employees excluding seasonal and temporary employees with $400 payable as soon as practicable. The remaining amount will be paid in 2 payments of $200 each, one payment payable the first pay period in April 2023 and one payment payable in the first pay period in July 2023. Be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the county administrator to direct disbursement of these funds consistent with understanding of this policy, and develop letters of understanding with the bargaining units, and further authorize the chair to sign and approve as to form by corporate counsel and substance by county administration.
Do we want to keep this as bonus payments, or is it inflation?
I specifically, that was a discussion, I decided to use the word bonus payment because why not be clear about it?
Wasn't there a reason that we shouldn't use bonus? Inflation impact, I thought, was the proper. I'm not going against you here just to be hard.
I thought, let's be transparent with it, we're giving bonuses.
Reason that we didn't want to use bonus.
I think that,
And some of it had to do with the elected employees, didn't it?
Out of abundance of caution, we can change it to inflation impact payments.
I just thought there was a deal with inflation impact. The compensation board could do something easier than saying bonuses. Bonuses is a
Is it taxed
salary
differently?
increase, huh?
Is it taxed differently? Is it taxed differently?
no.
Then I don't think so, but I think inflation payment was a. put it in a
Go back to
different
that.
category somehow.
Let's go back to that.
The economic inflation payment came from what you were trying to, if you may recognize, was the inflationary impact right now that's hitting employees, and to compensate for that, if you may, on a one-time basis. You know, bonus, I've not worked in the private sector, so that's a term that's often used in the private sector, and what it means or why it's given, like I said, my familiarity is here, and we don't often do those, so we defined it, tried to define it more for what it was, if you may, the purpose of it.
Okay, as long as it don't come back and haunt us.
Let's just change it out of abundance of caution.
So when we were talking earlier, and we said we didn't know we'd get it out as soon as possible. And somebody said, but if people knew that they were coming, they could, charge some of their holiday spending on cards because they would know. So I don't see the need to do the upload in the front. I still think it's, I don't see it.
I understand your opinion. I felt like the consensus of the board was supportive of a front load. Was I wrong?
I see nothing wrong with the front load, and that means he's only, administration only has got to make 2 checks. Three, 2 more after the first one.
That's true.
I kind of like Catherine's deal where there was 2 checks, but this is fine, same amount of money. It's just gonna cost us more for checks.
Mr. Chair. Is the probationary employees will begin receiving payments at the end of their probationary period? Will they receive the full payment?
No.
That's not how we interpret this.
No, because the full effect of this policy is for employees who are active employees as of the time it's adopted. Right now. So if you were hired afterwards, you may get the tail end of it, but you will not get the immediate effect.
But we have employees that we've hired now that are working now and would only receive a partial payment at the end of their probationary period then?
Yeah.
Well, they would receive the full payment when they're eligible, so.
That's what they're
The
saying.
full payment for that quarter,
For that quarter, yeah.
for that quarter.
But they'll miss out on the
So
$2,000.
So somebody who has not completed their probation before the $2,000 payment is made
Right.
would then only be eligible for
The second 2.
the second 2.
Right.
The
But at
1,000.
but at the full amount as a regular employee.
I'd rather see them get the full amount, just after after they serve their probationary period. And I'd rather see it at 5,000 and 1,000. I'd rather see the level of funding at 5,000 and 1,000.
Oh! I don't know.
Would you like to make that a motion?
I would.
Is there support? Is there support? Hearing no support, the amendment will not be considered. Actually, I haven't brought this to the floor yet. So we're still in open discussion.
I don't see where it resolved, okay, but it doesn't say those employed as of the date of this passing qualify for this? The date, you know what I'm saying? Because we said, like, if we pass this today, anybody who is employed today would get the first.
That's why we put in that the Berry County Board of Commissioners authorizes the county administrator to direct disbursement of these funds consistent with understanding of this policy.
Where are you reading that? Oh, down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the technical things we're discussing now,
So if this passes today, anybody who is employed here and not probationary would be eligible
Mhm.
for the first payment,
Mhm.
even if they're gonna retire on just under 20.
well, if they are not here for the pay period in April 2023, they're not going to get it.
No, but they would be eligible for this one coming up, the first one,
Correct.
because they're working today,
Mm-hmm.
employed today.
I will make a motion to pass this, but I just soon have number
I'm sorry.
3 out of it.
What did Luella say?
And they would have to be here when the payment's issued, right? Or are you?
I don't know, that's why I was asking for clarification.
Yeah, yeah.
What is number 3, John?
The probationary period, I
We're
think.
talking about a couple different things. Hold on just a second. If you're not here, if you're not an active employee when the money is scheduled to be, when checks are scheduled to be cut, you will not get it. If you're not an active employee, you're not gonna be receiving a check, so you're not going to get it in the mail. It's for active employees, active non-probationary employees.
I just was asking for clarification on that point.
Now, to John's point, talking about probationary employees, Michael had mentioned that there were currently 16 people that were probationary.
Yeah, most of them come off in January, February, and March, first part of the year, and they're getting cut out of half of it.
Okay. I was under the impression that they were going to be extended to full benefit after they were done with their probation.
That's what I'd like to see.
It's
I agree 100%.
It's 16 people.
Yeah.
I
You know.
like that, I like that.
Mhm.
But that was my understanding of what that scenario 6 was representing there, so. And I think that's answered at the, be it resolved at the end that Michael has the discretion to do that
Oh,
without
very
us overthinking that.
Okay. Then I make a motion and go.
And on that note, if you're gonna allow somebody who's not eligible for the first payment to recoup those costs at the end, then somebody who's working today, when we pay this, but may retire on December 20th, wouldn't be eligible for the first payment. Isn't that kind of not fair?
Someone who's retiring when?
December 20th, and say the checks don't go out until the 22nd.
I think that.
We
was
had to draw the line somewhere.
Oh,
That was discussed, and if they've turned their paperwork in, people can get this check and quit the next day.
I get that, but,
Yeah.
I mean, don't seem like you wanna look at anybody that might be retiring in December, but yet you wanna look at probationary period people that haven't even got off the probationary period and give them the whole amount. And you don't even
Because we're doing this for retention, and you aren't gonna retain retirees. Am I wrong?
What resolution number will this be? 22?
I thought we were doing it for inflationary.
For retention and inflationary, yeah,
Oh, just, okay.
but,
2216.
Well, we
if
did
we
talk
wanna,
about- We
if,
did talk about that if we passed this, that if they were working when this was passed, they would be eligible as long as they were employed.
And Michael said 12/31/22 was the date? If they're
Yes.
employed at that date?
But now we're saying if you're not here when the check's cut, you don't qualify.
Who's saying that?
yeah,
Well, what if they change their mind and I'm not gonna retire? And then
Until
they wait till-
12/31.
They wait till they get the money and then they change their mind.
Well, they're not gonna be here if we don't pass a resolution, because they're gonna quit.
let's just make it 12/31 at the end of the year.
I think I have a fix for that.
12/31/22, you're eligible for
Uh-huh.
the payment.
I like it.
So
We need a
it's
motion.
12/31/22?
You're employed, at that point, you are eligible for that first bonus payment.
And you can quit 1/1 of
You
23.
quit 1/1 of
No
23,
checks will be issued in 2022 then. Right.
based on Michael's comment, I didn't think we could get the checks out.
Good
in-
anyway, because we gotta go through.
We'll do our best, we'll do our best.
Couldn't we just say today, as of this date?
I did it. That was my very first question.
Yeah.
What was the clarification of
I mean,
when
if you're
this was
employed
gonna
as,
be effective?
You could make it today if you're employed as of today.
I just assume use the word active. We're not gonna be able to determine every case. There will be a situation that pops up that, a contingency we hadn't thought of. But we have a capable, competent administrative team and a board that cares about our employees. So we will adjust, just like we adjusted with salary adjustments for the equalization director. stuff's gonna happen.
Okay, let's go with it.
So,
Chairman,
It means today.
Chairman,
yeah.
just try to clarify this probation thing a little bit for me. Whoa.
Sky's falling.
Mr. Chairman.
Michael.
I know Michael said earlier about lots of our probations are considerably longer than others.
But, police department's a year.
So they'll have to wait until the,
No,
no, what did we say on that?
everything is 6 months.
Everything's 6 months.
Okay,
And then they get
Standard
paid.
6 months.
okay, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
we're changing bonus payments to economic impact payments? Correct?
Yeah, and, last word on that first line, approves immediate expenditure. That means this is effective today. Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
On the first line,
Yeah,
oh, approves immediate.
12/22.
So there's the marked up one.
Sorry,
12.
I didn't read that word immediate.
Is it 12? Oh, I didn't either. I was looking for a
Are you
date.
saying leave that in or take it out?
I'd say leave it in, and it's effective today.
That's all.
Well, the board has made very clear that we're gonna issue the payments today.
We're
So,
gonna- As soon as they can, but it's effective today.
Right. They're not writing checks today.
I was looking for a date. I didn't see the word immediate.
I just need to make one more motion.
Yeah, Ben, on number 3.
No, you're killing me.
This one's easy. On the probationary people will begin receiving full payments at the end of probationary period?
No, I don't think we can have full payments.
Well, it would
Because
start
full-
with 2,000 and 1,000 and 1,000 at the end of the probationary. Is that what you guys meant?
Oh, one saying yes, one
Okay,
saying
you're
no.
shaking your head no. What?
That's my understanding. John and Dave are in agreement, and why I point to them, that if somebody is still on their probationary period, when that first payment is made, the 2,000, once they come off their probationary period, they'll be eligible for the 2,000 plus then the
1,000 and
1,000 and then 1,000.
Correct.
That's the way.
Yeah,
That
Luella
was
has
what
a
we
quick
just
question.
discussed, and
I just
that's what we
wanted to-
wanted, and I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Do we just need to change that last part of it then, since we said that there are varying lengths of probation, but we're just gonna say 6 months? Should we just say they'll begin receiving payments at the end of, after 6 months of employment?
Can do that.
I couldn't hear what she said.
At the end of 6 months of employment. They'll begin receiving payments at the end of 6 months of employment.
Where do you want that?
The full payment, not just pick up with the next issuance of the checks.
2,000, 1,000, 1,000. They'll receive the first payment
When?
at the end of their 6 months.
6 months starts at different times.
And then at the 2,000 at,
All right, we can, when we run a payroll, we can include that with those folks.
Yep.
So they wouldn't need to wait until April. But if the board wants, we can, that's all we need to know is what you want. And if it doesn't matter, we'll implemented.
Why don't we just say probationary, if your employment is probationary in 2022, you have to wait till 2023 to get the money.
Well, this automatically does that.
I'm okay with probationary employees will begin receiving payments, just full payments at the end of their probationary period.
Mhm.
I know what that means. I'm comfortable enough that I understand, contrary to the 1 year and some, that we're dealing with 6 months, and unless you have an issue with the next pay period following when they are eligible, getting it, i.e. you'd rather wait until one of those milestone dates, we'll implement it that way. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
I don't think it needs any more.
Is there anything else? We're gonna have to print up new versions because there's no way we're voting on, I'm having this board vote on something this big without having it written in front of them. We're not Congress.
So on the scenario that employees who are still within their probationary period would be excluded until the payment term after their successful complete probation. And then further down, for part-time employees working 20 or more hours, the payment would be prorated and spread over whatever term is implemented. So I guess I thought we were leaning with what that scenario said, that this changes.
So my question is, somebody that's hired to a full-time job, if someone's hired to a full-time job next week after we adopt this, do they get $4,000 or do they get something less? Is it this board's intention to pay them the full amount or a prorated amount? Full amount, right? Michael, what's your understanding? Full amount.
The full amount.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
Is that you want probationary employees, once they come off probation, to receive that first $2,000 payment that they otherwise were on probation when it was issued. And then in April to receive $1,000, and then in July to receive another $1,000. So they would be made whole, if you may, just like every other employee.
And that's if you're employed at 12/22. What happens if you get employed at 1/15/23?
Don't hire anyone the first 3 weeks of,
No, but I'm saying that this was brought into effect on 12/22. Does it affect somebody hired in January?
No.
11/22.
That's what I said, no.
This is inflation impact for current employees.
That's right,
So
current employees,
there may be something else in 2023, but we have to work that out.
yes.
Let's keep it simple.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah, I
doing a
have a
good
note
job
here
of
that-
complicating this right now, so.
I have a note
Yes.
here that it says anyone employed as of 11/22/22.
Yep.
So that's for probationary employees going forward, and then it deals with retirees who might.
so
be
anyone
retired.
active at the date of this adoptions resolution?
That's a note that I made, yeah. If that's not what you want, let me know.
That's what I want.
But that's a note that I had.
So anybody that's employed as of 12/22/22, here's your
11,
vote.
no, 11.
11/22/22, sorry, you
Mhm.
were right, I'm wrong. Is qualified for the 4,000, but in 3 payments.
That's
Yes.
correct.
As long as they stay employed.
That's correct. If
That
you,
doesn't,
You're not employed when it's issued, you don't get it.
Yeah.
If you're a bad employee and you get fired, we're holding your check and you can come see this board to get it.
I mean, is your question if somebody,
you're saying
if they terminate in for March, they would have received the first payment, but they will not receive the April and the July, because they're not employed with us anymore.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing as an employee leaving for a different job.
Yep.
We don't owe them anything. So let's take a recess.
sort of, kind of, but not exactly. It's
because I don't like the probationary, I thought under that scenario that we read, 6, that they would, I didn't read it, that they would get the first payment. Employees who are still within their probationary period would be excluded until the payment term after they successfully complete probation. So to me, that means they're not eligible for a payment until the term.
Oh, on that scenario, so
Yeah.
that scenario, that's what we had
Yeah.
talked about.
Right. So
But that's not what's being discussed now.
Nope.
I see that, and I'm not, I don't agree with that.
I was trying to figure out where the language was, and I
No,
get.
from the scenario.
Anybody else don't agree?
No, that it's now been modified, if you may,
Yeah,
and
I see that, but I.
Probationary employees will get full compensation, or will get full
When they
payment.
complete their,
So let's just change number 3 to probationary employees will receive full payments, comma, only at the end of their probationary period. You're gonna get the money after your probationary period. You don't get it anytime before that.
and you're still employed.
That's a no for me.
That's fine. You have your opinion.
We're good.
Like I have mine.
Yeah, but I just want to make that clear, that's a no
Right.
for me.
Can you go print up a few, like, real, I have to call the health department.
I texted her.
I'll come down in case there's a question.
Do they ever issue, I guess I gotta ask somebody that's a boss. Can I ask you a question, Pam? Do you ever give a contingent probationary extension on an employee? You either make it or you don't. You never say, well, we're gonna extend your.
I don't go through that many employees.
How about you?
No, we don't.
Without objection, the board will stand at recess at the call of the chair.
So you either employed or
Board will come to order. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2216, a resolution to issue economic impact payments and authorize immediate transfers and disbursements related to its execution.
So moved.
Support?
Motion is made by Gibson, supported by Smelker. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify that end of probation does mean 6 months in the case that it was longer than that. Okay, thank you.
Do you have that motion written out?
Over here.
Oh.
No,
No, I've
not
got
that
this. I've got that.
Brand new fuzzy towel factory or something. Anybody see any issues with it?
I see that it reflects what we talked about since we recessed after lunch.
Great. We have worked hard to capture the consensus of the board. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is adoption.
I don't think it is what we talked about originally. There were changes made after we met and we broke to write the resolution, which I'm not happy about. So, making that known.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is adoption of Resolution 2216, a resolution to issue economic impact payments and authorize immediate transfers and disbursements related to its execution. Clerk, call the roll.
Connor.
Do you wish to pass, Commissioner?
I can't pass. My obligation as Commissioner to vote. I do first.
We know your objections. Commissioner,
No. Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Geiger.
aye. The resolution is adopted. Proceeding on to the businesses of the board. Ready to have a report? Does any other commissioner have a report?
I pretty much already commented on what happened at Prairieville and Yankee. A lot of my boards are no longer meeting because of the seasons, the holidays.
Wonderful time for year. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes. Hearing none. Does any commissioner wish to make comments? Commissioners Roundtable?
I'm proud of what we did today.
Did. Yes, thank you to everybody that made it happen.
Not that it took so long.
We've reached the end of our agenda, and without objection, the board will now adjourn. The board is adjourned.